How can we stop gambling with the future of the only planet we'll ever have? I guess you know what this is. It's a cane toad, of course. There are millions of them all over North Queensland. But where did they come from? And why were they brought here? We grow a lot of sugarcane here. About 80 years ago, the farmers were having trouble with certain beetles, such as these grey cane beetles. Their larvae burrow into the ground and eat the roots of the sugarcane plants. This is an example of the damage they do. When the roots have gone, the plants die. The farmers were desperate to save their crops. Someone remembered that farmers in Hawaii had had similar problems. They got rid of their beetles by importing a particular kind of toad from South America. These toads ate the Hawaiian beetles, saving their crops. It was suggested that the same toads could get rid of the Australian beetles. About 100 toads were imported and released not far from Townsville. They thrived, and soon there were plenty of them in the cane fields. Unfortunately, they showed no interest at all in the cane beetles. They preferred to eat other kinds of beetles. Obviously, the experiment had failed, so they would have to think of something else. The problem was what to do about the toads they had released. Each female cane toad has 2 breeding cycles each year and can lay 3,000 eggs per cycle. If half the original 100 were female, they would produce 300,000 tadpoles each year. If every tadpole grew to maturity, they would produce 1,000,000 tadpoles in the second year. By the time the failure of the experiment was recognized, there were several million toads hopping around. With native species, there are always natural enemies. That is, other species which eat them. This keeps their numbers under control. The bumps on this cane toad's head are poison glands. These will kill any animal that tries to eat it. As a result, the cane toad not only has no natural enemies in Australia, it is a menace to other animals, including domestic pets. With the breeding rate and the absence of any natural predators, the number of cane toads rapidly increased. For a year or so after their introduction in 1935, no one realized the seriousness of the situation. There were a lot of toads, which was irritating, but they were confined to the small area shown by the dark blob on Cape York. By 1940, however, the toads had advanced north and south and were reaching out to the western coast of Cape York. Just 3 years later, in 1943, they were halfway up Cape York and had reached the western coast. Toads were advancing along the southern coast of the Gulf of Carpentaria. The situation was completely out of control. By 1950, Cape York was completely inundated. By 1968, the toads had reached West Australia and were pushing south along a wide front. Today, almost all of North Queensland is infested with cane toads, and no solution has yet been found. The disaster happened when people with the best of intentions made what appeared to be improvements to the environment, without fully researching the possible consequences. Similar mistakes have been made frequently in the past. Early settlers brought rabbits from Europe as a source of food. The apparently harmless rabbits bred freely and having no natural enemies in Australia, their numbers reached plague proportions. Poison baits were laid down and fences were built to try to contain them. But it is not until the disease myxomatosis, which kills rabbits but does not affect other animals, was developed, that the rabbit plague was brought under control. Such mistakes were not confined to Australia. When European settlers explored the centre of North America, they found vast plains called prairies, which were covered in native grass, scrub bushes, and a few scattered trees. If grass could grow there, so could wheat. The farmers ploughed up the native grass, removed the bushes, and cut down the trees. They replaced them with huge fields of wheat. The prairies are subject to extreme droughts during which the native grass dies off, but leaves the roots still alive on the ground. When the wheat was harvested, however, it left no roots. The topsoil was left bare and exposed to the strong winds. With no trees or bushes to break the force of the wind and no roots to hold it together, the valuable topsoil was blown away in vast dust clouds. With the topsoil gone, the land was infertile. The farms were abandoned and the farm workers were thrown out of work. The populations of whole states were left destitute. Once again, ill-advised changes to the environment caused a devastating disaster. Whales were hunted from ancient times. It was hard, dangerous, and in ancient times somewhat romantic work. The classic novel Moby Dick brings those times to life. In more recent times, the hunting became mechanized and so efficient, the whales were hunted almost to extinction. In fact, there were alternatives to the products from whales that were much cheaper and involved far less cruelty. In 1986, most nations agreed to ban the hunting of whales. Very few countries do not support the ban. Japan claims that they hunt whales only for research purposes, but no one takes that claim seriously. The Faroes claim that their hunting is traditional and involves small numbers of whales, but the picture shows it involves great cruelty. With the ban on whaling by most countries, whale populations began to rebuild. This led to the entirely new industry of whale watching, which today employs many times more people than whale slaughtering ever did. This whale, however, shows evidence of having been entangled in a net. Man's own activities can conflict with each other and with wildlife. This net probably came from commercial fishing, but many birds, whales, and other marine creatures die lingering deaths from careless disposal of recreational fishing gear. Carelessly disposed of plastic shopping bags litter the oceans and kill many birds and marine creatures. Surfing is great fun, but sharks are always a menace. Shark nets are laid at right angles to popular beaches, but young whales often get trapped in these. The general idea that small changes in initial conditions of a system can dramatically affect its subsequent behavior has been known for over 100 years, but it is often summarized as the butterfly effect, attributed to Edward Lorenz in 1963. For example, the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Florida 10 years ago could conceivably result in a cyclone in Australia in 2018. Man's endeavours to combat the butterfly effect are given the generic name of permaculture.